Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, we're going to be diving deep into team building for Tag Team Arena, and I want to show you my roster. Right, I've done this before, where I break down like viewer rosters and suggest teams. I want to show you my teams, the thought behind it, and how it's going. Especially after the big regear we did of a bunch of champions, it's actually been going super well in both live arena and in Tag Arena. So I've been getting more into them. Like Live Arena has been going really well. I did lose a couple of fights yesterday. One was to Mezamel. That was actually a pretty interesting fight. And then to a Mikage. We lost to some Mythicals, but we were doing pretty well apart from that. One fun one, I actually got to use Fatalis Blade Master for the first time, which was an interesting fight. Kind of a terrible matchup. Duchess, Marishka, Ultimate Death Knight, all pretty awful for him to go up against. But Anithwe was a really nice matchup because Anithwe does not do much damage, and I just figured he would not physically be able to kill Fatalis, and Fatalis would probably eventually ramp up his decreased defense and win the fight. And he did. It was a long one, but it did work. But that was a funky one. But yeah, we're going to be going into this, and I'll be walking you through. Oh, I've actually won one recently. That's cool. I'll walk you through like what defense teams I'm using and why. We'll touch on again to give you an insight into like how I'm sort of looking at what my top pick champions are and why I put those teams together. One thing I do want to touch on, unfortunately, I didn't get this out to you sooner. I've had a fairly rough week, honestly, this week. I had a wedding last weekend, and I have to take immunosuppressants, so I'm immune compromised due to Crohn's disease, right? I have to be treated with that stuff. But I got food poisoning, and I've got like a cold or chest infection or something like that. From I think both probably from the wedding. So it's been a pain in the arse. But hey, I apologize if my voice is a bit weird in this video, or if I cough or sneeze or sniffle and stuff like that. I'm sorry. But this was actually from Limiting, who's one of the members of my clan and a viewer. And we're going to be including this more in the future, but he was actually breaking down for me and doing a spreadsheet for basically the drops that you're getting and the coins that you can get for the hero's path, right? Or yeah, which is unfortunately almost over right now. I've actually almost done it, 40,000 of the 50,000 I need for Ancora. We're going to be talking about her. But I'm going to be doing this hopefully in the future. We're going to get him on board. And for instance, this is really interesting. Like if you, excuse me, look at the energy efficiency for the dungeons, right? You can actually see that coins per energy, stage 16 and 20 are the most efficient. 24 is decent. 25 actually pretty bad. And then stage 10 hard, actually even a little bit worse than 24. So kind of interesting. And yeah, I sort of my feeling at the moment is that they are hitting us with a lot of these huge path events, which are huge grinds, very intensive. So I want to actually step up my game and bring you kind of more detailed sort of spreadsheet type breakdowns in terms of like, okay, how much energy is it actually going to cost, right? Like, let's say if I spend 5,000 gems grinding, how many coins am I going to get out of that? I think that's a good thing because I kind of feel like you're not going to be able to do all of these. Like they're hitting you with so many. So it's sort of like trying to figure out the value and yeah, how good is the dungeon divers part of it compared to the champion training? That sort of big question. Like I've been giving you guys broad outlines of how good I think it is, but I'd like to get more specific and give more detailed guidance. Anyway, that is what's going on there. Thanks to Limiting, and we will hopefully be seeing more of that in the future. But let's talk about Tag Arena. So my defense has been going pretty well. We lost this way. He actually attacked us multiple times. He absolutely smashed defense too. He's even styling on us with 3 champions, which is funny. We've won that one, but like it's mostly victories. We can see like defense 2 obviously lost to this guy a bunch, but it's been doing pretty well apart from that. Defense 3 doing mostly well, but losing a few. Defense 1 actually doing really well at the moment. I did take some pictures then of the other fights we have. So picking up from down here then. We won a bunch. This one actually not really. I'm kind of blocking it, but this was back when I one-man defense is in, so that one actually doesn't count. Then over here again, the loss down here is like 186. So this is someone that's kind of slow, grinding up in the arena, and they still have my one-man defense in there. But yeah, again, we can see sort of a mix. Each defense winning 2 and losing 1 here. So it's been going decently well, decently successful for sure. Looks like we should hopefully get up into goal 3 this week, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's been going well. Honestly, the main problem for me has been just finding the time. It's because I've been kind of just lazing about, being sick. I've had the time to do a bunch of Tag Arena, but it's really more a case of winning enough to promote. Actually holding the fort with the defense, not too shabby. Let's look at this. Then, excuse me. Let me show you the teams and sort of what's going on, and some of the thoughts that I have as well, and what might change up in the future. So what am I doing with my defenses? Well, let's touch on this first, maybe. Some of my top picks to give you an idea. Like this was for Live Arena. I did this recently, but we've got Sifi, Yumiko, Wukong, Mikage I don't have yet, but she will be a top pick for me. Ultimate Death Knight. We've got a Rotus, a Tormund, Ragash, Python, Ronda, Arbiters in there, and so on. It's quite funny. I have a lot of speed champions. I've got pretty bad speed gear. All right, let's look at the teams then. What are we using? So first of all, of course, we're going to be building an Arbiter team, a sort of traditional speed team. And one of the big decisions for me is where we put Yumiko, right? Do we put Yumiko with a speed team with Sifi? Do we put her with the Arbiter? Do we put them all three together? Lots of different options. What I actually have decided on, I quite like this team, is Arbiter with Yumiko, Elva, and then Ronda, right? So what's the theory of this team? How does it work? Well, we've got the speed aura and Arbiter boosts. She's in fast gear. So the idea is we go first, we lock them out. Elva keeps Ronda alive and Ronda kills everyone. It's a pretty straightforward, pretty simple thing. What's sort of the problem with this team? Problem is, of course, Ronda's very squishy. It's a little bit tricky to keep her alive. Elva with her passive is actually quite good. Like as soon as Ronda takes a hit, Elva actually with her passive starts throwing out veils, which can be really strong. And that can work really, really well. She puts out a perfect veil on the ally with the lowest HP at the end of her turn. Right, when she revives, increased attack, she'll put the veil out, and that's great. Because it's a speed team as well, these champions are taking lots of turns. They can all trigger the Ronda passive, ally attack. So we can do a lot of damage, but yeah, keeping Ronda alive is very tough. I'd say the more traditional version of this team would be using a Nekret the Great, which sadly I don't have. I'd say the most traditional would probably be like Arbiter, Yumiko, Nekret the Great, and Jorgid. I don't have Nekret or Jorgid, but they would be ideal, right? Jorgid, the highest damage, attack-based nuker, and then Nekret, the best protection for an attack-based nuker. This works on a similar concept, right? So the idea is Arbiter goes first, Yumiko cannot be debuffed, so we need sort of protection from anti-speed stuff, like Torment, or like Hegemon, for instance, sort of classic anti-speed counters. Well, we've got that with Elva, right? Arbiter boosts up. It's fine then if the rest get frozen. We've got a Stone Skin Elva, who can then cleanse the freeze off of Arbiter, can cleanse the freeze off of Ronda, or cleanse their stun or whatever they've got from the Hegemon. That can work. Yumiko can't really be stopped. And sort of bada bing, bada boom. But yeah, so the ways to counter this team, I would say for sure, are just killing the Ronda, keeping her dead. So something like an Aneathway could be really strong. Just hit her once, block revive, and this team is done, per se, because we don't have that protection of the Nekret shields. Just outspeeding it is probably my biggest problem, actually. It's just enemies being faster. I've got a lot of champs. The Arbiter, certainly the Sifi, Mikage when we get her, Yumiko, a lot of champs that lean towards speed, but I don't have the best speed gear, unfortunately. I've just been very lucky with Stone Skin, really unlucky with protection. I don't know. That's just the way it goes. So we can just be outsped. That's probably how I lose most often with this team, honestly, on defense, is they put in their speed team with lockout, and they just go faster. So it's a little bit tricky to fix that. I'm not really sure exactly what we can do. Possibly we could put in a different damage dealer than Ronda. That could be a bit more survivable. But yeah, let's look at the other teams first. But that is team 1, so traditional speed team. Let's go to team 3, which I really like. We've got two sets of two champions that all combo well together. So the first is Wukong with Ultimate Death Knight. That is a disgusting combo. And then the other combo, Mithrala with Python. And then I think all 4 synergize well together. So what do we have going on with this team? Well, number 1, it's a go second team, but it's not the slowest go second team in the world. We've got a really good speed aura from Wukong. Oh, and by the way, this screenshot is old. I took this screenshot, I guess, before the patch, but obviously I should also mention I've got Life Harvest on Elva now, but obviously we've got Polymorph on Sun Wukong. So sorry, the screenshot's a bit out of date. In fact, let me draw Let's draw a big P on that. Um, for polymorph. Okay. And let's do like, let's do, oh, hang on. Put this maybe at the top. Here we go. Let's do a life harvest on this. I actually have a cruelty on Rhonda now. I'm trying out cruelty. I'm not sure if I like it, actually, cruelty on Rhonda. It's not bad. She's only 2-star. It doesn't make a huge difference. Same with Elva. She's only 2-star. So the blessing's not that strong. But yeah, what you have with this team, I love it. We've got the speed aura from Sun Wukong, so we're not that slow. Sun Wukong plus Ultimate Death Knight. So such a strong combo, especially in live arena. Look, Wukong, he keeps reviving himself. Ultimate Death Knight's really hard to kill, so it's great. It's just really hard to get rid of Sun Wukong when an Ultimate Death Knight is there. He keeps popping back up. So I think that combo is really, really good. Also, the benefit is that Ultimate Death Knight will, with Life Harvest, can start destroying their max HP. We actually have got double Life Harvest with him and Pythion. So we destroy their max HP so that Wukong can then kill their team even more easily. That's a really nice combo. The other two-piece combo, Mithrala plus Pythion. So again, this is pretty simple. Pythion with his passive reduces the damage you take from buff the more buffs you've got. Mithrala gives us tons of buffs. So I think that's a really nice combo, putting them together. Mithrala, one of the only defensive buffs she doesn't have, well, obviously no ally protection, but she also doesn't have block debuffs. But Pythion brings in block debuffs, so I think they synergize really well. They also synergize really well, again, with the Ultimate Death Knight, and they could even try to keep Wukong alive. So if I write in some let's put in some sets as well. So we've got Stone Skin on her. It's just sort of damage on Rhonda, just speed on these. It's very straightforward. We've obviously got Stone Skin on him. We've got Stone Skin on him for cleansing, and then we've got a bolster on Mithrala, and I think that's really nice as well. Getting a bolster into a go second team is really powerful. Like if somebody tries to use, let's say Mighty Uko, right over here, I'm blocking it, Mighty Uko, right, to strip off your buffs, he can't put block buffs if you got bolster, right, because he can't remove the shield, so that's really nice. And the bolster shield helps us survive as well. I'd say one weakness of this team for sure would be block revive. The good news is that most people don't have a Mesamel, the mythic, right? Anithway, also fairly rare. Foley would be the most common, but Foley, I think, actually could struggle a bit to kill Sun Wukong. With the bolster from Mithrala, and with him being 5-star now, it's actually quite big. Like Sun Wukong, he's not that squishy, right? 53,000 HP, 2.6k defense. He's not crazy squishy, and we give him a big bolster shield and the Pythion damage reduction, and even though he's coming in, it's actually a little bit tricky for him to be killed by Foley. Doubly so because the second hit from the Foley block revive gets blocked by Ultimate Death Knight. So again, we've got some nice combos in there. I'd say the weakness of this team, funny enough, is this speed team absolutely destroys it, right? This speed team, you go first, lock them out. You probably don't lock out Mithrala, but that's okay. Then Rhonda blocks revive on Wukong, and then you just pick off the Pythion, and they're done, right? There's nothing that this team can really do against the speed team. So yeah, Rhonda with the block passives and lockout, Rhonda lockout, speed team, really hard counters this one, but I found this team on defense to be very successful. It's a real pain for people to try deal with. I think it's what it seems to me. Like block revive, just not that many people use it. It's hard to use. And yeah, also, of course, something that protects it a bit as well, the polymorph, right? Sun Wukong now is in 5-star polymorph. He has a 15% chance to sheep them, right? He has a 15% chance to sheep the Rhonda when she tries to block passive skills. Or if they try to do that with Ramantu, he's got a chance to sheep them as well. So that can be pretty powerful. If they try to bomb this team, obviously trying to land bombs on Mithrala, that's always tricky. She could just cleanse them off, and they've got block debuffs with Pythion, so that's a bit annoying. And then you also have to go past the lead, being a Sun Wukong, who's got, again, 5-star polymorph, which is very annoying for your bomb champions too. So I'm pretty happy with this team as well. So I'm honestly pretty happy with both of these. When it comes to the third team, it's a bit more all over the place. So obviously Sifi is going in, and I think obviously Rotus goes in as well. Now, one of the problems obviously you face with Rotus on a team is they can really just counter it with Ultimate Death Knight. This is one thing I've seen people do in some of their tag defenses, and I think it's a really big mistake. If you have Rotus and Sun Wukong, I see a few people put them on the same team. I think it's a disaster. Certainly if you've got a nuke Wukong. Now, if you've a support Wukong does counter Ultimate Death Knight because he turns him into a sheep and you're good. But I've seen people running nukes Sun Wukong with a Rotus. I just put in my Ultimate Death Knight and he hard counters both of them. This is sort of something I like about this defense. By splitting them across the two, they go, oh, I want to put my Ultimate Death Knight, here. I want to use him to counter their Rotus. But now I don't have Ultimate Death Knight to counter Sun Wukong. So Sun Wukong's A2 is going to start just smashing my team apart. That's annoying. If I use Ultimate Death Knight to counter Sun Wukong, I can't use him against Rotus. So yeah, I find that Rotus is a little bit, kind of sucks a bit on defense, but that works fairly well. Now, I think what I have at the moment, and it's been working, I've been trying Uko and Ragash together. One interesting thing, what I was running before, it was this guy. I used to be running Kaimar. Okay, I'm going to actually put Kaimar here at the top. I used to be running Kaimar instead. I used to have Kaimar in the lead. Why did I stop running Kaimar in the lead? And I think that worked fairly well. Problem is, Kaimar has now been re-geared. He was great because he's got the big speed aura and he's got the buff strip. He's got the reset. It's nice, especially the big speed aura really cements it as a speed team. The problem I ran into, I need him to be really slow now for my double newt teams, at least at the moment. Maybe we'll be able to change that a bit in the future. I've got some ideas, but right now he's super slow, so it doesn't really work. I mean, he kind of works. He could be a super slow reset champ, but I guess people on defense wouldn't know it. But yeah, for me, Kaimar, sadly, has sort of gone into the can't really use him in arena. Same thing with Ramantu. Ramantu could be a great option, but again, Ramantu sort of locked into a Sand Devil build, so he's really high speed and accuracy, which is fine. But to sort of get to that level of gear, he's like not in Stone Skin. He's very squishy. I don't know. He just seems a bit unreliable to me. And obviously, you can see Ramantu. I don't think he's as good on defense at all. I think he's better on offense. We've got this sort of concept. We've got Uko for the speed aura, can strip their buffs, and then a Ragash. But there's lots of other things we might do here. And this is what I'm sort of looking at the moment. So two champions I don't have, they're going to make a big difference, are these two. Lady Mikage and Ancora. We're getting the 5-star soul for Ancora. So I think Ancora could be actually a really strong option to throw in here. Right? Throw in an Ancora. Now we've got double revive, which is pretty good. We've got the speed aura still, although it's not as strong as the Uko. What we might even do, we could even actually go like this. We could put Ancora over here, and that becomes kind of annoying. We've got the shields from Ancora. We've got cleanse from Ancora. Got Sifi and protection, so she's putting out protected debuffs. We've got triple revivers. Got cooldown reduction from Ancora. That could potentially work. Potentially put Ancora in the lead. Maybe even bring in Lady Mikage in here as well. Now we've got like the shielding from her. We've got Lady Mikage. Basically potentially controlling them. Ally attack. The ally attack quite nice if they put a Ultimate Death Knight in. At least we can ally attack past that. Ancora with the cooldown reduction A1 is very strong with Lady Mikage. It's a pretty nice little combo. The ally attack doing a bit of cooldown reduction could be kind of big. So that might work, maybe. Not sure. Something else I've actually been using a little bit, experimenting with, is trying to get like a bolster in and buff strip too, because we've got Uko. Uko's great. Uko is in, right, and this is like we're talking about sort of gearing as well. Uko is in he's in stun set, which is nice. He brings crowd control, but it does leave us somewhat vulnerable to just being sort of bursted at the start. Bolster is quite nice, especially for Rotus. Really like bolster. It means he can't be killed by double hit AoEs, which otherwise he can be. And Uko with the buff strip quite nice as well the buff strip gives you a chance to get past Ultimate Death Knight too. You strip the buffs on Ultimate Death Knight, you're good. But Uko's got pretty low accuracy. One thing I've been trying, which is actually kind of fun, and he's sort of off meta, but I think he works well here. I've actually put Alsgor into a fairly high accuracy bolster set and been trying that out a little bit. I'm actually kind of liking it. So that might be something we put in as well as a potential thing. Alsgor instead of the Ragash. Ragash defense damage dealer, pretty straightforward. He gives us AoE damage. So, he can kill people. Even if they put in Ultimate Death Knight, Ragash can still kill their team. I think he combos well with Uko. Uko strips their buffs, then you get the decreased defense and stun AoE. It's quite nice. Yeah, I've been trying a bit with Alsgore in Bolster, which is kind of fun. So now you're going in with a Bolster shield. He actually gives you a buff strip, and then he can also give you block damage and healing. So he's actually quite a nice little protector. But again, I've been trying Uko and Alsgore with this. And like I said, we might actually end up trying like Ancora with this. With this could be kind of nice, right? Like, no matter who you get cooldown reduction on with Ancora, like you cooldown reduction the 2-turn block damage, that's juicy. The Sifi speed boost and buffs, that's juicy. The Rotus damage, it's like you got some nice stuff there. So those are all options for sure. Yeah, kind of interesting stuff. I'd say if we did this, that Mikage doesn't really fit in anywhere. But that's sort of some of the theory crafting that I've been doing and trying to work out. Again, to cover some of the interesting, perhaps, sets that we're doing. It'll be like Bolster on him. We've got Protection on Sifi. It would probably be Stone Skin on Ancora. And yeah, like I said, Uko is in Stun instead, which can work pretty well. It gives you that randomness. Yeah, it's trying to be like sort of as intimidating as possible as well. Because, of course, like I know what gear I have and how I beat my teams, but the enemy might not know what gear I have and what's happening. So that's sort of an interesting thing as well. One thing I'm going to do that is new, I hope you guys will like it, is I'm actually going to share my optimizer account in the description from all my videos from now on. So you'll actually be able to find all of my builds. So yeah. Basically, you'll find this link in the description. I've put it into incognito, so I'm seeing it not as me, right? But these are my builds sort of shared. You could click this as well. I don't know if I can set it up to do that by default. I don't know. I know Shinny has it. I'm basically copying this idea off Shinny and think it's cool. But like, again, now you can see my account. So you can come in and be like, okay, what's his Wukong doing? Like, by the way, Wukong, I am loving this build, right? To fill you in on the builds, Wukong, as you can see, shout out to Hell Hades as well, of course, and the HH Gaming team for building the optimizer. An amazing tool. But yeah, I think including this now is going to be kind of huge. I think it could be really helpful for you. I hope it is. Let me know what you think. But you can see he is in the Merciless, and dear Lord, it is powerful. Like, the damage output that it gives him is crazy. So I am loving it. I really think this is the future. It's going to be that. We got Wukong, Ultimate Death Knight. He's in 6-piece Stone Skin with triple reaction. So that's the idea with Ultimate Death Knight. Pretty straightforward. I think their blessings are pretty self-explanatory. I've covered those already. We've got Python. He is tanky in Stone Skin. We might sort of fiddle with this a little bit. We'll see. But yeah, I haven't geared Python, changed his gear much recently. He's been doing pretty well there. We have a excuse me, a bolster set on Mithrala. Mithrala's in that sort of awkward spot where she's really good for arena, but we also use her in other places as well. So right now she is still in arena blessings, but you know, like I use her in Hydra too because she's super good for that. So she needs to be useful for that as well. But she's in bolster with like decent speed and so on. Like she kind of doesn't need crazy speed, I'd say, for arena. We could drop her speed, but for like Hydra, I want to actually crank her speed higher. So it's sort of finding that balance point, if you will. So that's sort of that team, the speed team. We've got Arbiter. She's as fast as I can go. We're going to try work on this, obviously, in the future, but this is as fast as we can go right now. Like I said, I've got really bad luck with speed gear. You guys left comments being like, yo, Nub, you've got faster gear and protection, I'm sure. Trust me, I do not. I've rolled up every single piece of protection I've ever got with speed and just never been lucky. And I'm even chaos oring stuff as well. Like I'm just desperately searching for as much speed as I can, and it's tough to get. It's tough to get. I've just not been that lucky, and I've not farmed much dragon. So I guess I'm gonna be farming more dragon in speed events, which is a miserable waste of time mostly. But you get one of those lucky things, and maybe you're good to go. Like, you know, this is nice with the accuracy, but it doesn't have that much speed. And same thing with the banners, who've been really unlucky. Anyway, it is what it is. But that is Yumiko. She's sort of going in fast. She's got polymorph. Perhaps, you know, that's one question I have, right? Like, or one consideration. Like if we come in here, it's probably the easiest way to see it. Like with this speed team, I love Life Harvest. Massive fan. I want to have a Life Harvest blessing for sure on every team, preferably a really good one. I love this blessing. Like to the point where, honestly, even if I got I probably will save up and get Sifi to 6-star next. But man, I might even keep her. Say, screw polymorph. I'm keeping her in life harvest. Like, I like the blessing that much. You know, I do. I like it that much. Um, so yeah, there you go. But we could potentially put in the intimidating presence one to get a bit of extra speed to help ensure that we go first, make our aura better, make theirs weaker. We could potentially again use the temporal chains, right? So if they do go first, maybe we can reduce their speed and cut in. All these are options. I mean, honestly, our blessing levels are only like 2-star in these champs, so I don't think it makes a huge difference. And it costs gems to regear as well. But I think polymorph is fine for now. But hey, that's just a consideration. I'll throw that in there. But yeah, that is that is Yumiko. Elva is coming in. Elva might actually get switched up a bit. We might put some of Elva's gear onto words fail me. White Queen Ancora. White Queen Ancora might get Elva's gear because Elva's in Stone Skin. She's very quite darn quick. We might switch that over to her and actually drop Elva's speed a little bit. I still like Elva to be really fast because I love her passive and her A1. And she's got really short cooldowns. Same as White Queen. She's got short cooldowns with very impactful skills. I think White Queen is more of a speed champion, though. And Elva is more of a tanky champ, so I think it will make sense to swap their gear. But anyway, I've been running her like this and loving it. Like, we've got a really nice banner. This time we got lucky. We got a good banner. It's been done. And yeah, as you can see, like, our stone skin gear is pretty solid. Like, I've got a quad stone skin shield. We've got some triples. My stone skin luck has been a lot better. I certainly don't have a quad speed in protection yet, sadly. But that's Elva. And then Rhonda. I've been loving the Rhonda build. Again, her speed's a little bit low. I'd like to crank her speed up. That's something I've noticed. But like, she does so much damage. And I actually find that quite helpful. Like, I'm reluctant to give up her damage all that much, honestly. Like, I'm liking the big damage. We could definitely probably switch up a banner. If I got a banner with more speed, I don't have it. An attack banner with like double or triple speed, I'll put her in that. And we're actually not too far off full faction guardians for banner lords, which would be an extra 10. I'd definitely like to get her 230, maybe 240, and then I'd actually be super happy with her. But Rhonda is just amazing. Really loving Rhonda. She's so strong, particularly on offense, because Sun Wukong is just so common. It gives me an easy way to counter Sun Wukong. So that's what's going on there. And then what we talked about this team, we talked about this. So this team right here, show you the builds on these guys. Again, we have Uko. Uko is fast in stun with okay accuracy. Now, this is a slight problem. The accuracy is a bit low. Yeah, we could switch for an amulet with more accuracy, right? However, it becomes a little bit awkward because, you know, we kind of want the double reaction so he just doesn't die. Gives him a good chance to survive at the start. So that's a consideration. We can obviously get him tankier by improving this. We could get more accuracy here potentially, though the defense percent is also pretty good. We get more accuracy on the banner. That'd be nice. So, you know, there's some things we could perhaps tweak there, but Uko is pretty solid overall. I mean, even when you make Uko pretty tanky, Uko's still pretty squishy. You know, because he doesn't have anything to keep himself alive. So he is fairly squishy. But hey, that's Uko. I mean, 3-star would give him some defense. At the moment, like I said, running Ragash. Ragash's defense nuker build, so good speed, decent chunk of accuracy to successfully debuff any of their damage. Like, be very surprised if they're running any damage with 300 plus resistance. Very unlikely. And he's even going to debuff probably a lot of their like even revivers and stuff, that if they're not building for resistance specifically, he's probably going to stun them, which is quite nice. He's got lots of defense. So yeah, Ragash, he's decent. He could do it more crit damage, but hey, not bad. Again, a big upgrade for him would be getting defense percent or speed on the boots. Speed would be ideal, but obviously you'll take either one, right? You're not going to re-roll them forever. It's just not feasible. Then we've got Sifi. Sifi now is in 6-piece protection with the amulet. And that's pretty nice. I will say it's a little inconsistent. I'm definitely going to be swapping her into 9-piece protection. Unfortunately, it's going to probably drop her speed a good chunk. It's just, you know, it's extremely hard to get a good speed banner, you know, and I don't have it. The reason she's not in 9-piece protection is I don't have a ring. I think I do have a banner, a bad banner, but I could put her in a bad banner and we could put her in, again, we drop speed from a helmet. I don't have a triple speed protection helmet. Going to be trying to get one of those desperately with Chaos Ore to keep her speed high. Like, she's got a really good chest piece. The boots are are fine. We'll get better boots eventually. Just need to keep re-rolling ascensions on the boots. That's a bit luck dependent. But like triple speed shield is good. Triple speed weapon is good. The gloves are double speed, but like HP percent with defense and resistance. I mean, they're really solid. The ring is fine. But yeah, she's in 6-piece protection. Again, I'd love to get her to 9-piece, particularly for like stuff like Hydra. That damage boost, really good for Hydra. So that's Sifi. And then we've got finally Rotus, who's coming in. Sadly, he's only 2-star. But he's coming in like this. One slight problem we do have is that we have got no and this is something that's worth considering as well, is like your faction guardian. So like I said, pretty close with Bannerlords, which is nice. We are there with barbarians, which is nice for the Al score. Actually, very nice. Sadly, we're miles away with undead. So like the extra defense and the extra speed for Sifi Rotus are miles away. Sorry to say. Sylvan Watchers like Elva has nothing, which is a bummer. We're not too far off the extra speed for Arbiter, which would be pretty big. And again, Shadowkin, we're not even close to the accuracy really for Yumiko, which would be pretty nice. Interesting enough with Dark Elves, we're actually pretty close to +10 speed. So for some of my backup nukers, Fatalis Blade Master, Foley, we're actually getting to a decent spot for Dark Elves with them, which is kind of cool. Again, Skinwalkers, we got the bonus accuracy for Uko, for Ragash, and that's actually pretty nice. There's lots of good Skinwalkers in there. So that's sort of what's going on in there. But yeah, that's the Rotus. Again, a couple of the other champions I mentioned here, to touch on them, we've got Bolster on Alscore. So he's got good accuracy, decent speed, and he's got lots of health, which I think is quite nice. And again, there's room to improve that in the future for sure. And he's got a double reaction as well, which is, again, I think quite nice. Like I said, Ancora is probably going to go into 6-piece Stone Skin. And yeah, there you go. Fatalis, by the way, he's like this. We've got room to improve. Like he's got attack percent on the gloves. We can improve that. He doesn't have crit damage on the neck, so we can get his crit damage higher, but his speed is really good. He's got tons of health. He's got solid defense. He's very niche. I wouldn't use him on defense, but he's actually been sometimes, very rarely. He's sort of good against, I'd say he's good against squishy nukers that are really going to struggle to kill him, and he's easily going to kill them. And he's pretty bad against tanky teams. Well, he's not great against tanky teams because he just doesn't hit very hard. Oh, I do have premium membership, but I'm not logged in. Obviously, we're on incognito right now. Yeah, he's he just doesn't hit that hard, but he can ramp up the ignore defense. It's an interesting sort of thing. Anything else that I've mentioned here? One champ I am working on will be Foley. Like I said, we're gonna get him when he gets the extra 10 speed. That's gonna be kind of nice, and we can ascend this with crit damage. We get some attack percent, maybe more attack percent or speed. He's in Merciless right now, and he could actually get to doing some decent damage. So he might be a good option, I think, against like Wukong and Torment and stuff like that. So I think he's sort of worth potentially building up for me, and that's sort of the stuff we're looking at right now. But hey, let me know. What do you think? I'm curious. Like I said, my builds and my defenses have been working fairly well. I think probably, honestly, the most important thing is the thing that's hard to measure, of course, which is, the best defense is one that never gets attacked in a way, right? That's so intimidating that you're like, yeah, no thanks, right? So like this one looks pretty intimidating. This is like no thanks, right? Like, okay, Taras Marishka with Ultimate Death Knight, and then this. Obviously, a Sifi would be scarier. He's put a Sifi over here for a speed team, which makes sense for his 3-man defense, but like, that's a super scary team. Over here, it's like a speed team that's not very fast, but he's got the protected Jorgid, which is always scary, and the lockout. So again, like you could, this one would be easy enough to beat with a faster speed team. Just go faster, and then Rhonda can kill the Jorgid past the Necret protection, and you're good, right? But you need to go first. So he could have a really fast Warlord, but that's probably beatable. But like, and then the problem is that this team is scary because again, you've got the really big speed aura with the Sifi and the Yumiko. You got the protection of Harima. And then you've got Wukong. So this is like terrifying defense. So these defenses are way better than mine. But like, yeah, the best defense is one that's so scary it never gets attacked. But anyway, there we go, guys. That was a deep dive today. I hope that you enjoyed. Hopefully we'll be up into goal 3 and see how we do in goal 3. And I don't know, maybe look to push into goal 4 soonish. I've been, like I said, I it's hard to find the time to do arena, but when I do arena in this game, I really enjoy it. But I've been trying more live arena, and trying to get more tag done in the last couple of weeks at least. You know, I enjoyed the re-gearing for sure, and yeah, we'll do more re-gearing soon enough as well. But guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully, like the builds links in the description will be helpful for you and insightful. Yeah, we'll see. Thanks to Shinny for that idea, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.